Hi, and welcome to Sixcess Stories. We are your hosts, Christina Gent.
And Eric Ozarowski.
And this is where we get to share real conversations with the members of the 6 Degrees community, all about life, leadership, and the power of meaningful connections. And on today's episode, we have Andrew Skirde, who is a real estate expert and founder of Knock.
Yeah, in this episode with Andrew, we talk about some fun, rebellious stories of him growing up in Seattle, how he ultimately got to San Diego. We get into his career journey and how marketing was the common thread through everything he's done so far and everything he's doing in the real estate world and with Knock. And we end with a conversation around AI and how so much of what's being created now, the pros and cons to that, and how AI can be an advantage specific to his skill set and what he's doing for his clients with Knock.
Yeah, it was really fun. So Andrew is the first member that we brought on after we bought 6 Degrees. So we obviously had a foundation of people who are part of the community. So this was really special to us to be able to sit down with Andrew, being the first one who said yes to Eric and Christina's version of 6 Degrees. And I think one of the aha moments that we end up realizing at the end of the episode is how there's just so much that we can continue learning about each other, even when we have really close relationships with the people who are part of this community. So this is the whole point of why we started this podcast and why we wanted to sit down with people. So please enjoy this episode of Sixcess Stories.
Before we get too far down the rabbit hole of the conversation, typically we like to do check-ins.
Well, anytime we record on Fridays, it's always about mood and week and how was everything?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, what's this week been like for everybody in a sentence or less?
For me, it's been productive, busy, and I'm content. Like, I'm grateful and content.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like all the pins are set up. Things are just where they're supposed to be and waiting to be knocked over is how this week, I would describe this week. There's a lot of slowing down to speed up and figuring some stuff out for me and how to operate effectively.
Yeah.
When you say knocked over, you mean you're going to be the one pushing that first
Yeah,
domino, or?
yeah.
Okay.
I think we're transitioning some stuff. We have how to effectively use some people on our team, a little bit more leaning into that. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's with the event that we have.
Yeah.
And this is all kind of other stuff, but I feel good about the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Some systems and things.
Yeah.
We've had the CRM conversation
yes,
so
we
many
have
times.
at
and
length.
I think I found some.
Okay, dig
think
it.
I
We'll have to
found
trade
it.
notes.
Yeah.
I would agree with what you said. I feel like you gave me a really nice mental image of what this week has felt like. Mine has more to do with the event, not necessarily some of the other things that you're referring to. But I feel like even just before coming into this space today and a call that we had to really make sure that things were in line and checking off a lot of the boxes that need to be put in place, it feels a lot different this year having some external support for the event, which I'm really grateful
That's good.
for.
Yeah, I know. The last couple
Yeah.
of years, you guys have, taken on so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a crazy event
But
each year.
in the best way possible.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, in the best way. And I just keep making it crazier every year. And Eric has to put up with it. Granted, I will say this. He has had
happily put up with it.
He has had some of the crazier ideas for this year too. That I'm like, all right, I don't know how to make that happen, but let's go.
We're
I
gonna do
love
it.
that.
We're gonna do it.
I can't wait.
God.
This is going to be so much fun.
It's gonna be good.
So
It's been the buzz around the network. I've had several one-on-ones with other members
Yeah.
recently, and it's kind of the who's who now of like, did you go to last year's? Are you going to this year's? And this year it's going to be that much better because we know what last year brought. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So right after I think my second or third interaction with somebody, I was like, I'm getting that pre-sale ticket. Let's go.
yes. That's part of what this actually all weekend.
So the hype is real. No pressure, but I'm
Give me all the pressure.
Well, honestly,
I think I've said that. I've said this multiple times. I don't know if I said it on here, but I think I have. But if it's gonna suck, I want it to suck at a really high level. Like I want to fail miserably.
Let's
like,
go.
Let's fucking miss. Let's fucking miss.
But it's gonna be incredible going down.
Or no, I have a lot of confidence in how this one's going to turn out.
Here's the thing is like I have all the confidence in the event itself, the vendors, the music, everything, like the pieces of the creativity. So confident. What I'm stressed about is ticket sales and sponsors. That's the piece, because the thing is even the people who are talking about it, they're talking about it and still haven't purchased their tickets, right? So that's the part where I'm like, all right, guys, like y'all are stressing me out.
Deal with the program.
Let's go get your ticket real quick and make me feel better about that.
Well, if I could do my part, this is your time to go and get your pre-sale tickets before it runs out.
Yeah. So
no, that's cool. That's cool to have the buzz.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's
well,
fun.
It's a testament also. I think you guys, it's amazing the background you guys are bringing to this. And, you know, I've known you since you've taken over Six. So
you might be the first person that joined after we took over.
I'm pretty sure you are. I'm almost positive.
That's a star I need to put on the fridge. But I mean, it's been amazing to see the evolution through the years.
Yeah.
It's so clear and apparent, the passion that you guys put into it because of your background and then that experience and all that skill set. So I'm just as confident in all of it, and I know there's a lot of us behind you.
I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, and vice versa, right? It's been really cool to see how people have grown being in this organization that have been with us from like year one, right? Obviously, when we took this over, we also inherited a lot of members.
Right.
And there was a huge transition, and understandably, right? Because new owners means a lot of it's going to change. And so what people bought into is not what they, wanted to keep being part of with our new vision. So to see just the people who have been with us from our first year and watching like your business grow and even, everything that's evolved with you, right? Yeah. When we first met, it was very, very just focused on real estate. And so, and so like to bring in Knock and to keep growing, I mean, that's awesome for us to basically have a front row seat to so many people and like their success and their projects and what they're working on.
Yeah. No, it's got to be. I can only imagine how this feels from your view, because your worldview, you're looking at all of the businesses that are kind of in this ecosystem and what they have evolved as, through the years too. And I can imagine that would be a fun feeling.
It's a cool front row seat. It's an intimate view, right? In some of our members' lives, and just to kind of see people win and see people grow, and to have any small part of that is kind of cool. That wasn't really a part of this is why we're going to do it. It's like a byproduct, right?
So it's a pleasant surprise then, you would say. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. For you, I know obviously we've talked a bunch and we've gotten to know you really well, but I want to go back to just kind of growing up in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Talk about...
It's far different than the Pacific Southwest, I'll tell you. in a way.
Talk about just growing up there and what that was like in Seattle. Seattle gets a bad rap for being super rainy and gloomy and gray, but man, it was such a fun part of my life, I guess, and I never realized it until after I had left. My parents made a very concerted effort to move us from the East Coast. I was an Army brat growing up, and so I didn't know much until we landed in Seattle when I was like, I think 4 and a half. So, I mean, actually, I take that back. No, 5. And it was like right in the middle of grade school. And just that being the root, having community, having set a really good tone for, I think, how I then perceive the rest of the world. Sure.
Because we were such an international space for a lot of different communities in Seattle. Very similar to San Diego, where it's very nomadic. You get a lot of different cultures in San Diego, and I'd say the same in Seattle. So what was cool is the friends that I built relationships with and are now the lasting ones that I think my parents felt that if I was on the East Coast, no shade to the East Coast, but I think there's a little bit of a difference of that type of community.
Sure.
So I don't know, like growing up, going outside and playing kickball, or stupid stuff like going off into the trails and just riding our bikes, dirt bikes or whatever around, and going on hikes where I was like literally 45 minutes away from like a solid 2-3 mile hike in the mountains.
Sure.
You could just escape. Funny, in San Diego, a lot of my friends, when I first moved here, they were like, oh, let's go on a hike. And it's like, oh, let's go to Torrey Pines. I was like, this isn't a hike. This is a nice walk.
This is a walk.
But and you got a slight incline, but I'll show you a hike. I think it was the first time that I brought my ex-girlfriend, which is now my wife, Paula, to my house, like back in Seattle, or like the family place. It was we went on it was like a 2-mile hike up this area called Poo Poo Point, which is kind of funny, but it's where all of the like hang gliders just launch off the side of this hill.
Yeah.
And you're like 750, 800 feet up, and it's like a bunch of switchbacks getting to the top of the little hillside. Halfway up, Paula's like, can we turn around now? And I'm like, we're not even close. We're like, we're it's going to be amazing. I promise. There's like lake views, there's valleys, there's trees, there's all sorts of stuff. And it was so different from a Southern California hike.
Yeah.
So I was like, but by the time we got there, I think, we realized that she just needed a trail mix bar or something to kind of ease in. And it was all good.
Just a little energy.
But it was like, that's the kind of stuff that I grew up with. Like we were just always outdoors. We were always just kicking around, getting into stupid trouble, just being neighborhood kids outside.
What's the stupidest trouble you got into?
Ooh, there's a funny story. I remember, I think it was like junior high going into high school, because we didn't have middle school at the time. Sure. It was different programming, but I remember sneaking out, and I think I waited till like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And my mom at the time would stay up and watch K-dramas because that was the thing. She was like reminiscing on home. And, and I was like, shit, she isn't going to bed. And I'm like texting with my buddy. I'm like, he's outside the window. And I hung out in our downstairs basement area, which has like a nice little window that can go right to the ground level.
Sure.
So I could climb out. Anyway, so I'm waiting for her to go to sleep. And when she finally did, I don't think I waited long enough. It was probably 30 minutes, 40 minutes after she actually shut it down and went to bed.
That's a decent amount of time. So
yeah, I thought. Well, we're going out. We're doing like, I don't know, we're breaking into like the school grounds. Why, of all places, to go back to school when you're on summer break and not wanting to go to school in the first place? But we went back to the school grounds, found like ladders or whatever, climbed up to the roof and just hung out on the roof. Or like a buddy of ours worked at Dairy Queen, so he'd like come over and bring a bunch of like blizzards and shakes. And I was like, okay, this is such a innocent, stupid, honestly.
Yeah.
But still, it was like, but it was just kind of cool to be outside in the middle of the night when nobody else is around.
Yeah.
And I just remember, sun's about to start peeking up. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's brisk, and I'm like walking back home, and we're like parting ways with my buddy, and all of a sudden I see the blinds downstairs in my parents' office bend down. I'm like, oh shit. And then I see that, and it flips back up really fast, and then I start running to like the side of the house to try to like beat my parents the other way around, and I hear the front door open, and I hear my dad, and he's like, he's going around back. I'm like, oh no, they know exactly where I am. So I like flip back around, come back to the front of the house, and my mom's waiting. My dad was in the back. They divided and conquered, and I'm like now flanked. And I get to the front door, and then my mom's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. I was grounded for like a week just because I just snuck out, left the house unlocked, didn't have a key or anything. So, I mean, this is stupid. And I think it was more stupid on my part, but yeah, that's dumb things.
I mean, that's just such a high school. Like you literally just described, that's kids in high school.
Even you said junior high, so
yeah,
but like
10, 11, 12.
even that age, exactly. Right? But even the notion of wanting to go back to almost break into school or beyond the school grounds. Because
it was taboo. Because like you couldn't do it.
That was what we knew, right? That was the territory that we were familiar with. So yes, we're being rebellious, but like we still want this safety net of like the.
That's a good way,
right? Like of like knowing it enough, right? It's so funny the places that we want to be rebellious into or break into, and it's usually something very comforting or familiar or something that's like, oh, I'm breaking the rules at school. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. I do have one more story. It was something that I did that was even more stupid, and I was.
Oh, that's what I want.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get another two. Okay, hold on. You want that one? Okay.
That was a great story.
So there was one time that I crashed a car.
Oh no.
Yeah, after drinking, And now your guys' face is like saying, "Oh, it's perfect."
Like now we're getting into
Yeah,
it.
now we're getting into
All
it.
right, all right.
I was only 14.
Oh,
I
no.
didn't even have a learner's permit. The only driving experience I had was literally driving with my mom 2 blocks up the road as she was like training me or teaching
Sure.
me
So was
to like
this-
go
was-
pick up my brother from the bus stop.
Was this the first time that you ever drove?
So a buddy of mine was a little older. He, a neighborhood kid. Yeah, and this is going to sound really stupid when I say it out loud, but it's like we got drunk off of like Smirnoff Ices.
Mike's Hard Lemonade. I split it with 6 people
Hell
the first time I drank. Don't worry.
That's the one. So it was. We just got iced before getting iced was cool. And
chose to be
We
iced.
chose to be iced like idiot. And we ended up going to meet up with my buddy's friend, and we took the car for a joyride to the grocery store. It was literally a quarter mile away from the house, but still, nonetheless, shouldn't have been doing what we did. But he let me drive because he was a little bit more tipsy than I was. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and we pick up my buddy's friend, and he's like, "I need a ride home." I was like, "Oh, okay." So now we're extending the road trip. And I was like, "This is not good." So we ended up going down only a couple of blocks. I mean, he's like, "Well, the neighborhood's just on the other side of this one main drag, and it should be quick, 5 minutes tops." So I'm like, "Okay, get on in." So I'm like chauffeuring everybody. I'm like designated drunk driver going down a couple of blocks, and then we turn into my friend's like driveway, which is this tiny little narrow driveway. And on either side are like these tall bushes. Drop off the friend, flip the car around, heading out the driveway, and on comes another car. What I didn't realize was this driveway is shared between 2 houses, and so the neighbor was coming home and just like, now we're at a standstill and kind of playing chicken, like who's gonna go around? Well, now as an experienced driver, I know you stop and you let the other person go around, or at least you kind of do the European like maneuver. I was like, no, we could both fit. So I am starting to move forward. He's moving forward, and we're now just crammed in this tiny little driveway area. I scrape the passenger side of the car into the trees, but when I heard the tree, I kind of yanked the car left and went into the neighbor's car and like completely sideswiped a whole couple of panels. Like back door was trashed, my driver door was trashed, and the bumper on the back of the neighbor's car was also trashed. And mind you, this isn't my car. This is my friend's mom's car who we were borrowing to do all this. Anyway. There was a lot of interrogation. We finally had our parents pick us up, and then when I got home, I was in deep shit for about a month. There was no going out doing anything, and there went summer break. Different year, and it was like back-to-back summer breaks that I'm like getting in trouble for being out with the same friend, and I'm like, this buddy, I think we can kind of stop we staying in touch after a few years, but because obviously I was the problem.
Not a great influence. That's hilarious. It's funny because you could have left out the drinking part of that, and to me it literally just seems like a super new driver, right? Like that's all it sounded like to me. I know plenty of people.
I'm gonna incriminate myself on public radio at this point.
Yeah.
You didn't get a DUI though, right?
Did not. No, fortunately. And no MIP, no any of that. Like I got lucky.
Were the cops involved?
Fortunately, no.
Yeah,
It was
it
like
didn't
parents
seem
went
like-
straight to the insurance companies, and
Yeah.
parents had to pay out of pocket. I think it was like $700 for the auto body repair shop. And like that was $700 I definitely didn't have. So, and this was before I even had a high school job. So I was fucked. I mean, let's put it there.
That could have been so much worse.
It
Yeah,
could have
that
been so
could have
much
been way
worse.
worse.
You're absolutely right. It could have been way
The
worse.
way that the story started, I was like, oh,
Here we
shit.
go. Yeah.
And then it
Okay.
was like, well, we side scraped each other, and I kind of just...
Yeah, let me over exaggerate for a very tame and
No,
innocent
it's still-
approach.
yeah.
It's still stupid.
No. I mean, yes.
Still,
But my brain went to like, oh no, he like crashed into a
Good.
tree.
Then the story worked.
he did crash into a tree, and the tree made him
Yeah.
jerk into
Damn
the
it! If
car.
that tree wasn't there. Ah.
Wait, okay, so you said high school job. What was your first job then? What was your high school job?
Oh, this is how boring I think I become. So my first job in high school, actually, was pre-high school. This is probably a little bit where it all kind of came. I wanted to be a real estate developer for whatever reason for a while, and it's a bummer that he's our president now, but he had a good show back in the day. And I watched The Apprentice, and I was like, oh, sorry. I watched The Apprentice, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool competition. I was like, oh, the project management, this is easy enough. And it's, oh, then you also get to develop and build these buildings, and like, you know, there's commercial spaces, and there's these opportunities that you're creating business, and you're, you know, helping the economy. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I wanted to be a real estate developer for a while, and I thought the fastest track to doing that was I got a job at a home builders association with my buddy's mom. So a couple of summers around my freshman, sophomore year of high school, I would help out doing temp work, answering the front desk. I was called the director of first impressions, which was a pretty fucking sick title.
That's awesome. I love that.
My dad at the time, he was like, I'm not even director. I'm like, well, fucking, I don't know, do something with your life.
Director of first impressions.
Director of first impressions.
I want to steal that.
Do it. So I was literally answering the phone, channeling the calls, and then I would also do like, I don't know, mailers and campaigns for like some of the government affairs folks, or helping people with the permitting office, or we would build out like media kits. And so I kind of got my taste at marketing at that point, but and doing events.
Sure.
But that was my first like summer job. Then after that, I became like a typical basic bitch, and I like wanted to get my hobbies paid for. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go be a barista at Starbucks. Got my coffee covered. I went and became a model, quote unquote, at Abercrombie. Got my clothes
You're
budget.
an Abercrombie
I was an
What?
Abercrombie kid. Yeah.
Like
So-
one of the dudes who's standing outside
So,
of the...
little known fact. So, before you turn 18, you can't be that
Yeah.
model, and you can't be at the front at the Abercrombie adult store. There's an Abercrombie kids store that you could be at sub 18. So, I started at the Abercrombie kids store, but I would take shifts at the Abercrombie store occasionally. And at the Abercrombie kids store, I was a model standing out the front during Thanksgiving weekend, you know, Black Friday sales, and I'd be like spritzing the now nauseating cologne, which I loved as a kid.
Oh my gosh.
And like talking about our classic cool jeans and the fucking jean wall on the side. And then
Does Abercrombie still exist?
it
Yes,
does.
yes,
it does. But
they can't have those models anymore, I don't think.
no,
Or,
they
like,
can't. They
that's
got
not-
some
Why?
deep
What
deep
happened?
stuff. I don't know. I think there's a Hulu documentary or a Netflix documentary. It was all about
I literally haven't heard the
I
name
think
of that
Jeffries.
company.
Jeffries was his last name. Anyway, the CEO of Abercrombie was a little bit of an interesting character. And I remember meeting him because he would do the regional visits and come to a couple of stores. And I knew that I was at Abercrombie, and I was like in a particular different type of subculture when it was almost common to have just somebody do the elevator look on me and be like, I'm doing fine now. Like,
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I've never felt more, I don't know, icky. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, if this is what a lot of women feel like at the bar, I mean, I'm like, this is okay. I was definitely checked out a lot by a lot of dudes, and then the CEO of Abercrombie. But but it was kind of like this unspoken thing. You had to be quote unquote attractive enough to be in the front, and then
course.
and then some of the other folks would be stalking in the back, and it was like such a shit culture, and it was weird because like I loved it, which
I
sounds
loved it.
terrible.
I
to say.
loved it.
I loved it as a
Fucking ate
kid.
that
Like
shit
let
up.
me frame
My
this up.
ego during that
Well,
time,
that's
man.
that's where it all went downhill for me. This is where I can barely fit through the fucking door because my head's too big. Because I'm like, this is where I know I look good. Yeah, because everybody's telling me. And it was so that was my first couple of jobs, and I was one of these kids that worked 2-3 jobs at a time because I just wanted to have the allowance or the budget to go and pay for the shit that I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I would be able to afford whenever homecoming came around or prom came around or all those other dances that would happen during high school. Like I could help actually pay for the dinner, pay for the limo, whatever, and didn't have to tap mom and dad for it. I just liked being independent. And then, as a kid, you guys know this, but when I guess middle of high school and my little brother was in junior high, my parents made a decision to start a different venture. My mom being Korean and all of her family is in Korea, she wanted to go and pick up on a skill that she knew she had, was to teach English. So, and this was kind of the time like 08, 07 when English schools were really popping off across the pond, as you say. So she went off and wanted to do that, and so I had to become I had to step up as the true older brother and really kind of help be a little bit more for the house than my dad could do at the time, because he was working a full-time job. So I'd help my brother like after school. And so being able to be that figure, I guess, or kind of have a little bit more responsibility was never something I shied away from. So having 2-3 jobs at a time and then taking care of brother after work or for after school.
So your mom went to Korea?
So sorry, I kind of glazed that. Yeah, so she went to Korea, and she would send money back. She'd pick up a couple of students and she'd teach English on the side, and then one thing became another. Her family is getting older. Her parents were getting older. She's the oldest of 4 kids, so there's that innate cultural expectation to provide for your younger siblings. So that's kind of, I think, where I also got it, where it's like being the oldest of 4, I can't imagine being the oldest of just me and my brother. Like, it's easy. I can rail on the kid and also help show him the ropes. So it worked out great.
What's the age difference between the two of you?
Him and I, 1.5 years, so not too much. And actually, the day I stopped wailing on him was when he became taller than me and a little bit bigger. I was like, oh, fuck.
Like,
okay, this is done.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
Can't do that.
I was like, this is over. And funny enough, he's also, it's kind of come full circle. He is the kid that I saw go through so many different odd jobs himself, and eventually work his way into real estate. So he's a real estate broker in Boise, Idaho. Since I moved to San Diego, he had moved off to Boise to be with his now wife, start their family, and he's been in real estate ever since they moved out. So it's been a little over 12 years, I guess.
And
now,
he was the
10
one
years.
that said, hey, maybe you should give this a try, right?
Yeah, he's like, give this a shot. And he's like, because we took different paths. I took the more quote unquote white collar approach after the retail jobs and everything, and I did hospitality for a little while, but I went office route, and I went to advertising and marketing and started in the business that way. He was like, if you can, during the pandemic when everybody was having that altruistic conversation of like, what do I want to do when I grow up, or what do I want to be, I was kind of looking at my situation at the time. I was like, I think I got to figure something else out. And he was in my ear. He's like, maybe you should check this out. And I just remember when he first got in the business, he was doing all the stuff that like I think some of these major brokerages teach you to do. So he was kind of using that on the family. He was like, he'd call me randomly, like every, 2 days, 3 days, like, hey man, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell real estate? I'm like, fuck, dude, you're in Idaho. I don't know how to help you. Like, I'm sorry, like, nobody.
I don't have friends there.
But I'm like, good on you for asking. So anyways, so it's kind of come full circle. So he's now kind of become a mentor in some of my early stages, and now we're bouncing ideas, and now I'm like kind of helping him because we have a completely different price point out here in Southern California, and some of these situations that I've come across that he has never heard of in his clientele or his business, like, it's just been fun because now I become the story around his office. He's like, you'll never believe what my brother had to go through, what kind of deal he's working on right now. And I'm like, use this as an example, use this as like lesson. So in some way we're both teaching each other. So older or not, it's kind of fun.
I mean, you guys are a year and a half apart, but 2 to 3 years.
Close enough.
I mean, with under 2 years is kind of the same age for the most part, right? Yeah. You mentioned the ad agency.
Yeah.
And
that
what
too.
made you get out of that bit? So you had an agency, you had a partner.
I had 2 partners. Backing up a little bit, after my home builders association role and kind of working through that was actually amazing because at the time when all of my friends were still taking on part-time jobs, and I mean, I had a part-time job that at the time I think was like paying like $10 an hour, but that was unheard of for part-time jobs back then.
Sure.
Dating myself or ourselves a little bit here, when all my other friends were like, oh yeah, I'm making, I don't know, like it was like $6.25 or $6.15 an hour at the time. So I was kind of like the kid everybody was like looking at for like, hey, can you buy Wendy's for us, or can you got
some money.
You got some money. Can you help us out tonight? Like, it was
please?
like poker nights on you, right? Like, yeah.
This is the director of First Impression.
The director, which evolved eventually.
It paid well.
It paid great. Yes, a lot of anyway, so after getting out of junior college, I kind of fell in love with. It's a weird track. I went from wanting to go real estate development, and then around college, I was like, I kind of want something creative, just as creative, but I think something a little different. And this was the time that Food Network was blowing up. And so, like, everybody's a celebrity chef. Everybody's, like, doing whatever. And I just remember even as a kid, there's, like, videotapes or whatever of my parents catching me in the kitchen, like, today we're going to make chicken cordon bleu or something, like some I was a very jolly kid and just very excited to be in the kitchen and help out. But so there was a moment where I was like, oh, maybe I want to go culinary school. And actually out of college, I got accepted to Culinary Institute of America, which is a very prestigious culinary school. And they had a couple of different locations, one in Hyde Park, New York, one in like Napa, California. Thomas Keller, who's the famous chef who started the French Laundry, he came out of this program, and it was like, oh, this is where I think I want to go. And I pursued that for a little while, and that's what brought me into the hospitality space. And then somewhere along the line there, I think I got tired of working the nights, holidays, weekends, and I was like, this is kind of a bummer. But like all my friends were at the restaurant, so that kind of made up for it. But then, I was like, maybe there's something different that I want to go into, and the creative itch kept scratching. So while I was still in junior college, I was like, I took a advertising class, and I just remember the class project for the quarter was, let's come up with a campaign. And the group that I was with, we came up with a bougie ass campaign for Louis Vuitton. And 18-year-old kids coming up with something for Louis Vuitton. It was kind of fun. But we like had a friend who had like a very fancy Porsche. Her parents had a very fancy Porsche. And then like she had the token Louis Vuitton bag. So like, you are our talent, so we're going to use you. And then I had a friend who had a camera, so it was like, all right, great, we're going to take some great shots. We like found an awesome backdrop around in Seattle, and I don't know, I think we laid it in like sepia tone, and we'd made like a full print ad out of it, and we like built out an entire like digital campaign for it. And this was the time that MySpace was kind of there and Facebook was just only getting started, so we didn't have like social ads or anything, but it was Google campaigns were kind of part of the conversation. And anyway, when we got through all of that, I was like, this was fucking fun.
Yeah,
like I loved being on the creative side of this, and I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. Taking my skills as the director of First Impressions, answering a bunch of phone calls and knowing how to navigate conversations, I ended up getting a job, an internship at an ad agency as a project coordinator for a little while. I actually dipped out of school after that because I ended up taking a full-time role with them, which then turned into a project manager and then an account manager. So I was managing accounts, and I remember I was like I was 20... It was before my 21st birthday. I had taken my first business trip, and it was with this ad agency. And I was like, this is awesome. You'll never guess where. Little Rock, Arkansas. The glorious town of Little Rock.
Not where my brain went.
Not what I would have
I was
guessed.
like Tokyo.
No. So I had a telecom client in Little Rock. It was kind of cool because it was like my dad happened to work for T-Mobile on the PM side, working and putting all the towers up, and he was organizing at the time. This is when they were doing partnerships with Starbucks and putting hotspots in coffee shops, and so that was his program. But he knew of the company that I was, the agency for. And it was fun because he was like kind of waving me off on my first business trip to Little Rock, and that program ended up turning into a couple of campaigns. We ended up getting a couple of awards. I worked my way into I kind of talked myself into a job at a big agency called Wonderman, and they were known for direct mail marketing, but the AOR for T-Mobile and Microsoft. So at that time, it was kind of fun to see my experience at this tiny little shop that I interned at, got a full-time role at, dropped out of college for, and then jumping over to the T-Mobile account was kind of like able to like, hey, Dad, I went from this tiny Little Rock company to working with you on the other side of what you're doing. And it was kind of fun. And I ran that for a few years as an account supervisor. I kind of got my way up through like the early account side of things, but client services was the main crux of it. Working with really talented folks, which was fun. And then I got a call as I was kind of like after college, all my friends are getting out, and I was like, I'm starting to run into everybody here in Seattle. I love Seattle, but I'm starting to run into everybody whenever I go out on the weekends. And now I'm like in my mid 20s at this point. I think I need to, change it up, switch it up. And I started applying for a couple of roles at different places. Wasn't landing on anything in Seattle. I was like, what if I check something else out? So I had a satellite office from this company that I was working at Wonderman in Chicago, and we had a satellite office in New York. I got an internal transfer approval to go to Chicago if I wanted. There was another account through Chicago that I was looking at for a digital agency over there, and then two more. There was the P&G account for Procter & Gamble. It was the Gillette account for Procter & Gamble, in... was it Louisville, Kentucky?
Okay.
And then San Diego called. There was an agency here in Point Loma, that called and was like, do you want to be our head of like accounts for this whole business to business division? And I remember talking to my friend as I'm like coming on this like decision of, okay, I've got like 4 offers to go to very different places.
Yeah, options are always good.
It was amazing. Like as a 25-year-old kid, I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my buddy Adam, who's my long friend from junior high. Not the one I would get in the stupid shit trouble with, but like,
A different one.
Yeah, different one.
We've met Adam. We like
Yeah,
Adam.
yeah.
Yes.
I just remember being on the phone with him, and he's like, well, dude, Chicago gets really fucking cold in the winter. If you go to Kentucky, nobody's going to visit you. And then I was like, okay, noted. And then if you go to San Diego, well, maybe we'll come down. I was like, maybe's good. So
I'll take a maybe.
I'll take maybe. But I was like, and I came to San Diego with Adam and another buddy of mine, like randomly on a weekend, and I fell in love with it because it was everything that every vacationer ever sees. It was like, oh, it's glorious, it's sunny, it's awesome, people are awesome, gorgeous and nice, and the food's amazing. And at the time, there was so much development happening. I was like, okay, this place is small enough yet enough of a big enough city to kind of make something here. So I landed in San Diego.
Okay, so you wouldn't have been here if you didn't have that job opportunity.
Correct.
Through the agency.
Yeah.
If that wasn't on the dartboard.
Wasn't even on the radar. No. Yeah. And then that turned into a couple of years of working my way up to director level position. And then I met 2 buddies. Oh, actually, I met a buddy at an agency that I was working at. His wife and I all went out to dinner when we first started together. It was like after the Christmas party that they had. And we started sitting around talking like, hey, we're all kind of in the same space, but we're tired of doing this for somebody else. Could we maybe do this for ourselves? So that agency work kind of then turned into, let's start an agency on our own. So I started an ad agency in San Diego for several years. And that was fun. We got to work on some really cool stuff. But me coming from the account side, a buddy of mine, he came from like the digital advertising side of things. So he was like managing all of our programmatic campaigns. So pulling the levers for social campaigns to be effective, for our Google campaigns to be effective. And then we had his wife, who was our lead designer, who was just baller. So like she would get invited to go to Adobe for conferences to like teach classes on like all the design projects that she was working on. So I was like, okay, I think we've got a pretty solid team.
Damn.
And then we were just working our way through small businesses here in San Diego, helping those businesses grow into something. And then we got a couple of calls to be part of some big name brands, which was amazing. And I was like, okay, I think we were enjoying what we were doing. And that was fun for a long time. And then the pandemic happened.
Oh, okay. So I was going to ask, like, so what was the reason for
with the switch
shutting that down?
Yeah,
but it was the pandemic.
The pandemic, I think, gave us all a moment of pause. Okay, what's going to happen? And our entire business was based on digital. So at the time, it's weird because we should have seen it coming. We should have been like, oh, everybody's going to be stuck inside. Everybody is going to be just doing more ad spend. But the budgets were freezing up. People were shuttering things down. I was on the account side and I was managing events because that was what I knew how to do. I was in Queenstown, New Zealand, about ready to pack up and head off to Miami for a music festival to launch one of our clients' brands out there. And then I was about to pop over to Korea right after that just to take some time off. And the Miami festival shuts down. And then we knew that if the Miami festival shut down, like there was a follow-up, we might have gone to South by Southwest in Texas. That shut down and like refunds were being issued. I was like, oh, this is big. And so that gave all of our accounts like freeze frame moment. And we're like, I don't know what this is going to look like. What is this going to do? So that's kind of why that pivoted. But, there were some underlying issues. I went into a business with my friends, loved them as friends dearly. We never saw eye to eye on certain things within the business and how it should be run. So I think that kind of became a little bit more apparent, especially as we were getting to that point where like, okay, we need to really figure out what are we going to do financially and with our team and all that other stuff. So yeah, I think after a couple of years, it was like, okay, let's maybe pivot.
Was it just the 3 of you or you guys have?
Is the 3 of us, but we had a lot of contract accounts. Yeah, so like based on the account, we would do a lot of contractors because that bench could go deep and it keeps our overhead really, really low.
Right. Yeah.
What's your relationship with those 2 now?
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's great. They're actually clients of mine, or they've been clients of mine in the past.
Nice.
And I'm helping them with an ADU project for their house, and then they're probably going to be selling that here pretty soon and moving somewhere soon. So
they're still here in San Diego.
They're still here in San Diego
for now.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's good.
That's good. I mean, because that's a thing that can happen so often with going into business with friends or family, right?
Why are you looking at me?
Yeah, what's going on? Sometimes, I mean, it's an interesting dynamic that you have to balance, especially when there are other partners involved. If there are partners more than two, then personally, from my experience, I felt like the third wheel sometimes.
Well, yeah, because
was tough.
it was him and his wife.
And you can't come between that.
Yeah,
Right.
there's no dynamic. There's no way that you're not on the outside of that.
No, despite even wanting to be, well-intended, to be like, look, we also have to look at this outside of the marital situation. What's good for the business?
Yeah.
And I think that was a hard line for all of us to kind of break. So I was like, okay, I think maybe not the best situation. Gave it a shot. Gave it our good try. And it's amazing. When I stepped out, I was like, you guys fucking pick this up and run. And they're running, which is awesome.
They kept it. Yeah.
They kept it. Yeah.
And it's interesting too. I didn't think about this at all until I had a conversation with somebody who is trying to raise capital and in a business relationship with her partner as well. And she had said it's sometimes really hard for investors to invest in a company that is run by a married couple because what ends up happening is that the couple will continue talking about work and maybe even making decisions without the rest of the team because they are together. They're going home. They're talking about things, right? So I'm sure that easily could have shown up in that situation for you as well, where it's the three of you might have ended the workday, and then there's still so many conversations that they're having, and then all of a sudden the next day it's like, oh well, we decided X, Y, and Z, and you're like, wait a second,
like, cool,
right?
Okay.
What do you mean, And so that was just a really fascinating point to hear from somebody, and made me become a little bit more mindful. It was like, ooh, as we continue growing our team, how do we make sure that we're keeping everybody in the loop and we're not doing something like that where we're making these big decisions.
Has that friend of yours come up with an example of somebody who's doing it well, or kind of can give you guidance or tools on like how to make sure that's protected or in a way?
Well, the person I'm talking about right now is someone who I just met for the first time for coffee.
Okay, yeah.
So no.
Okay. Check back. Let me know.
just met this person.
Because I keep telling Paul, I'm like, you should go in the business with me on this one, and I'm like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah,
So I mean, so much of it is just having some way for things to be transparent still, and have everything to live somewhere where it can be digested, right? I mean, like we literally had it. We have someone outside helping us with some of the event production stuff. Christina and I went to the space, did a walkthrough, changed 5 things, nothing drastic, but she wasn't there. And so in a conversation, where does that get recorded, documented, passed off? We had a call with her and we're like, hey, we just realized we talked about this, and this. You're operating a week ago that didn't have this, and this included in it.
Right.
No harm, no foul. And it's so easy for a couple to just not think twice about something secondhand said.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like I would imagine so often, like if you 3 were on a virtual call, like call ends and then they keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's just, you can't fault them for that.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it.
I mean, it's the thing every fucking couple does. Is like when you go out to dinner with someone, or he's like, oh, I really like Andrew and Paula. Paula's great.
Yeah.
Like every couple has a version of that after they talk.
What is the car
what's the
ride
debrief?
home
What's the car
conversation?
ride about the night?
Ooh, yes.
Every single person does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, do we invite them to game night again? I don't know.
Are they invited back? Maybe not.
Let's wait a little. No.
But like even those conversations, like it's easy to not think twice about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And when those happen in a business context, it's like, how does that get communicated?
Yeah.
When does it get communicated? Does it get communicated at all,
Right.
or are you on the outside looking in?
Unfortunately, we were, mid-20s. I'm not going to chalk it to age or experience, but I mean, I think it is age and experience. Like, we should have been a little bit better or fastidious with our documentation. Like, we should have captured it maybe differently, and, maybe that could have changed it. But I think it goes back to, taking it back to what you guys have practiced and preached to us as a network. It's like the being conscious in the communication and just communicating. Honestly, that could have changed so much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no such thing as over-communicating.
Unfortunately, there isn't.
Right? Like, there's over-talking, but there's no such thing
Which
as
I feel like I did on this podcast already. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
doing
good.
No, it's been great.
Okay.
No. Yeah, because my brain just went to an interaction that I had online recently, because I was like, there's no such thing as over communicating, but then he said there is a such thing as over talking, which is what
there's oversharing, there's over talking, but over communicating, that boundary's further out.
I'd rather be told to stop talking than to not tell you enough information. I'd rather have you know like what's going on and when it's happening and all the things that are kind of impacting this decision or what's happening in this, whatever, it's a transaction or whatever. Like I'd rather you know all that as opposed to wondering.
Well, so I guess the difference between like over talking, over sharing, and then when I say communication's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I can over talk and I can
Otherwise
tell
it's a
too
monologue.
much.
Yeah.
But if you just keep running and it doesn't register, and I miss it, and then now we have a miscommunication.
Yeah. Good
So
clarification.
there's a difference between talking and sharing and kind of spilling, and then going like, spit that back to me, because I just know I fucking went on forever about something. Can you please tell me what you heard? That's communication.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Good point. Good reframe.
So yeah, no, it's communication. So it's so hard.
It is, and yet we do it every day.
So pandemic, and so then after that, that's when real estate pops up for you?
That is when real estate popped up. Yeah. So back to my brother, I was looking for something to do. I was like, I don't know what skill. I mean, I was kind of having that existential crisis of like, what can I offer the world? What am I going to do? And he's like, dude, if you can sell what you've been selling or like have those conversations with certain accounts or clients, you could do this. Like maybe think about it. I just remember sitting on the couch next to Paula. She's like watching a movie or whatever. I like come running downstairs and I'm like, I got this brilliant idea. And she's like, uh-oh. I'm going to be a real estate agent. She's like, okay. Well, do you know what that's going to look like? You know, I was like, well, I went through the process and was like, no. But like, how are we going to find clients? How are you going to find business? How are we going to do all this? Like, come up with a plan, build the business plan, and then let's, like give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I like spent 2 days straight, like rabbit holing on a Google slide deck for myself, giving myself a business plan. I'm like, I can do this.
Do you still have that plan?
I do. I'll have to share it. Like, here's my schedule for the day. This is the first Q1 of this year. I'm going to these are how I'm going to time block my calendars. This is all the things I'm going to learn. This is what I'm going to talk to, who I'm going to talk to. And after I get my license, and of course, didn't even think about the 3 months that it would take me to get the license. And at that time, the pandemic shut down all the testing centers. So my testing facility date kept getting kicked down the line. I started my classwork in, I think it was July of 2020, expecting I'll be able to knock out this work fast.
3 months.
No, they also time you. It's you can't finish a course faster until you spent X amount of hours, just because you've understood the content and taken the tests and do all this other stuff. So I had to programmatically go 3 months out. When I got to September, I was like, okay, let's go and schedule it. Scheduling went from September to November to December to January. And I was like, well, which facility is open? Because I will fly. I got money. I'm like, I'll go up to Sacramento. I'll fly up to San Francisco. Flights are cheap. Nobody's going right now. I'm like, I think I can do this. I had to wait till January, mid-January, the 21st.
Of 2021?
Of 2021. Yeah.
To
Take my test. And I was like, I damn well better fucking pass this test the first shot, because I'm not waiting longer, because I was like, I already had the business plan. And I'm like, I'm ready to go.
This is a year of pent-up energy.
Yeah, this is
and
the year
excitement.
of me. I'm going to do this. And I knocked it out in the first shot. It's a pass-fail, so I don't exactly know how well I knocked it or how close I came. But yeah, it worked out. I got a role with a team. I was kind of scouring social media. I was like, who do I feel like is doing this differently enough, or who do I feel like is doing it, well, that I might be able to learn from?
Mm-hmm.
And I found this team at a brokerage, Compass, and I was like, oh, I knew Compass's branding, and I was like, oh, this is kind of what I like. It's minimal, it's elegant, it's elevated. There's a sales minimum you have to hit, a threshold you have to hit in order to even become a Compass agent. So there was some prestige. I was like, I could do this. So I kind of growth hacked my way in, and I worked with this team for a little while, and quickly, got the numbers I needed to be able to just run on my own. Because what I found out quickly, and I think this is unfortunately indicative of the industry as a whole, I kind of break it into two different buckets of team leads. So in the agency world, or as a broker agent, there are team leads that want to bring agents on for numbers, and it just helps their business
Right.
grow, and it
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
them level up, which is awesome. And then there are those that actually want to help see the next generation of agents actually succeed and like prop them up and help
Yeah.
give them the tools. And
Right.
I don't think didn't have that experience. I hadn't half that experience, and I was being treated like a kid who just like came out of high school with his book bag like way too high. So I was like, I got it, man. I ran a business. It was like we were several $1 million in EBITDA. I was like, I think I can do the normal shit. You just got to tell me what contracts I need to use, or like what I should be looking out for in a transaction. And I never got that kind of guidance. I taught myself, so which is a bummer, but it was a good learning because I had to drink from the fire hose at that point.
Yeah.
Got
well,
into real
2021,
Yeah.
not to cut you
Well,
off, but
yeah.
2021, like that time, like would you have hit the numbers if it
Oh.
wasn't that year?
If it wasn't that year, good question. It's hard to say. I don't know, because like 2021, I'll be honest, I had one deal. So
Okay.
I don't know.
For the whole year?
For the whole year.
Okay.
Like it was, so I didn't actually go out on my own until 2022.
Got it. Okay.
But 2021, I had one deal, and it was a buddy of mine who saw the hustle and all the shit that I was going through and how hard I was working just kind of make myself there and have a presence. And he gave me a shot with him and his wife wanting to buy their second house. And that was amazing. I got to drive all across the county to help them out on that one. But it was like a good experience to like cut my teeth.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful and humbled that he like took that shot on me, and that snowballed. After that,
Yeah.
he happens to be a financial advisor, and so a lot of our friends or his friends then rolled his experience into working with me, so he would be a real big referral partner. So 2022 was great, and then 2023 was even better, and so it started to kind of roll. But yeah, COVID was a really interesting wrench, because the traditional methods of finding business as an agent for a lot of intents and purposes is like, oh, cold call, door knock, do open houses. Open houses didn't exist because we were wearing masks and
Right.
nobody was opening their doors to anybody. Door knocking, nobody wanted to see you at the door, so that also was gone. Cold calling, yeah, I fucking hate cold calling. It was like
No.
I can make a conversation out of thin air, but it's also very awkward. And I'm like, but again, I didn't know what to say either. I was like, so I see your neighbor just put their house on the market. You looking for a crazy offer? Like, no. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna call around and just have like some sales cheesy,
Some people love
script.
that.
Some people love that. It works for them. So yeah, 2021 was a really interesting year to get started. So I don't know if my numbers would have been different if it
Yeah.
wasn't for the pandemic.
Interesting. It sounds like so much of it was tied to your friend giving you a shot.
Give me a shot. Yeah.
Because I think people forget, everyone, to kind of tie it back to the beginning of this conversation, like you were our first member that we brought on, and
Yeah.
but like everyone, obviously it was a little bit different because like we had this thing that we took over, and there was people still, right? You weren't just like, I believe in you guys, I'm gonna sign me up for number
I'm
one.
number one.
Yeah.
But for most people that go out on their own, there is a first client, and there has to be like, you might fuck this up, but I really like you.
Yeah.
And we're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. But at some level, like that happens a lot when people first go out. So you need that person.
And I so appreciate and I'm grateful for that person forever because of that.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like because of that and who they are and their role in just their business.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a good lesson of the first person can be really, really impactful.
Absolutely.
Right. And as much as I need to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done it yet.
I don't have anything. Yeah.
But if I can kind of be selective or just be a little bit more intention about who I'm trying to work with and how I'm trying to work with them. Obviously easier said than done. In retrospect, is 2020 and all revisionist history.
At what moment, so it sounds like each year was getting better and better with real estate.
Yep.
So then here comes knock.
Here comes knock. So I like to say I've been clean from marketing for 4.5 years, but something keeps drawing me back. So I think I knew when I was going through that altruistic conversation during the pandemic of like, what did I want to do? As I was building that business plan, I kind of looked at the industry at a point where I think a lot of people were saying the same things, and it's still true today. There's a lot of agents out there that still rely on the just listed, just sold posts. There's a little bit more organizational structure in terms of storytelling, which I love, that's coming into play, but not a lot of agents at the time were really doing that. It's becoming more popular. Personal branding is becoming more popular. But I noticed at that moment, I was like, everybody looks the same, sounds the same. How do I stand out? So if I'm going to build a business plan, I better make sure that I'm going to do this and I'm going to actually make a splash. And naive me, I was like, I've got my colors, I've got all the things that I want to do, and I got all the the way I'm going to go about this. And I'm like, oh, there's DRE rules. Like, you can't brand yourself a certain way. You can't, especially if you're at a brokerage, you can't brand your things differently so much outside of the brand guidelines and standards of the brokerage that you represent until you get to your own broker's license. So I was like, oh, there goes that plan. But I was like, I kind of thought at that moment, I was like, okay, if I was to do this for myself, I'm sure any other agent who's got a broker's license, who wants to do this on their own, who isn't at a big name and really carving a space in the market for themselves, they could benefit from trying to say something differently, to be something differently, or show up and have that reputation show up differently. So knock came into the foreground actually even before I got my license. I didn't think of knock as knock at the time, but I was like, I think if I was to start a multimedia agency, let's gear it towards real estate agents. Let's bring the power for marketing to the agent's hands so that they are actually not sounding like what their broker wants them to sound like. So that's been a brainchild, and it's kind of started to flourish now in the last year more so. And I know you guys have known it's been a talking point for about 2 years, but like now it's like we've got retainer clients. I've got a couple of folks who are doing some fun big projects, and I'm like, okay, this is what I love. Albeit this industry is very interesting, and I think it's also tough, and I have to recognize that I'm trying to break into an agent or a industry where especially in our county, where there are probably 3 agents to every home. So the dollars for the marketing budget from an agent's perspective is a little tighter. So the budgets I'm used to working on with big name brands don't exist. And not that I'm trying to get to that point where I'm like, I can charge $20,000, $30,000 for a program, but it's like most agents are like, if it's not a $67 template, I don't know if I want it. And I'm like, well, that's because that's what they're propelled, or that's what they're used to. But by that same token, it's like those $67 templates look exactly like every other agent who's paying those $67 prices. So like, how do we step out of that mindset or that break?
Sure.
So,
well, yeah. How does me spending more on working with you equal more dollars?
Right. So
that's the connection that has to get made, because otherwise you're just eating into my margins.
Exactly.
Right?
So
and it looks pretty and it looks nice and it feels good.
Yeah.
This is the marketing challenge,
right,
for so many people, right?
So back to 2021, when I was kind of getting my kickstart into things before my first official deal, I started helping other agents at Compass. I was like, hey, we've got a CRM, we've got tools, we've got a team that's also designing a lot of stuff, but I noticed the agents aren't using any of it. They're coming up with stuff on the fly, or they're actually just not coming up with anything at all. And so there's a missed opportunity for getting more clients. And at the time when everybody was fighting for the same house, which was tough, like I remember within my first deal, I was like, we were writing 10 different offers, and every single one, I was like crazy. One of 14 offers. So it's like everybody's competing for the same home. How do I help the agents get out of their way so they can focus on like the sales aspect of it all? Let's work on the system. So I helped a couple of agents with just doing their marketing for them. So I became a marketing manager, a freelance marketing manager for a few folks. And that's kind of the brainchild of how this all came to be. It was like, okay, well then I think if I can help the agent take the time back to doing what they do well, and I think as an agent, we're in the business of making friends. I think, how can I help you go out and make more friends so that I can just handle the other outbound, marketing that will help you build that reputation while you're out doing whatever you need to do.
Sure.
So it became a done for you program. Nice. In that sense. So we're buying the time back, as opposed to you dragging and dropping a template and then a couple of things in and trying to figure out how to post or trying to figure out how to position it a certain way. That's already thought for you. That's already being done.
Right. Yeah. Just more of partially strategy, but the execution of the strategy.
Correct.
And then with some visual or just more branding and more, how do I stand out?
Yes.
Is where why it's different than the brokerage that I'm working through.
Yes. Yeah. And I think what I've kind of trialed and erred too in the last couple of years is I realized knock is now, I'm being very specific about the target audience. Mm-hmm. I think there is a new class of freshman agents that are coming to the market, and they're fucking killing it.
Are they?
Yeah. There are a few folks who are just doing from an aesthetic standpoint and just from a personal branding perspective, they are, oh man, you guys might know this person. She's gone viral recently. Tampa Bree is a handle on Instagram. She's a broker or an agent in Tampa, Florida. her dry sense of humor and just shitting on the house while also giving the house tour at the same time is just hilarious. Like, there are some out of the box like creatives that are coming into the space now that are getting leads, getting attention, getting business because of their perspective on, you know, just the business. And there are some folks here in San Diego that are doing like vlog style content, but that's turning into $4 million properties that they then become the listing agent for, because they're constantly putting more content out there. They're showing the day in the life. They're showing the struggles. They're showing the accomplishments. They're showing the stuff that, like, there are a lot of the older agents who are maybe just not sure where to start are kind of stalling. So our target audience for Knock now has become like, how do I help the seasoned agents who have killed it offline become very successful online, so that you have now a new pipeline of business to do something with. And if you have a team, man, now you can command a split. You can kind of help your team grow. You can give them that first couple of deals to like really get their teeth cut on this. So I was like, yeah. So I'm like, let's start targeting some seasoned agents, folks who might not know the digital space as much, but that's been something we've been working on over the last couple of years, is like, how do I be very, very specific with who my avatar is? And it's funny because getting into this, I became my worst client. I was like, I want to just work for everybody. I want to do all this other stuff. I'm like, no, that never works. Like, now
Doesn't work. Yeah.
So it's been a learning curve and a humbling experience going through this journey myself as my own client.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
My favorite that came up on my algorithm, and I actually have no idea where she's even based out of, but I was watching so many of her videos showing houses. But she was like, older woman, I don't know how old, maybe in her 50s or 60s or something, but she was like whispering into the little mic, and she was like hiding like in the different rooms, and she's like, I bet you can't guess where I am, like whatever she would say.
She's in Virginia.
I had no idea, but I was like, this is hilarious. Like, I would literally buy a home from you if I was in that area just because of this video. Like, it's so cool to have people lean into their personalities, and like, sounds like, you know, right now it sounds like the freshman class that you're talking about is really exciting, but even someone like her who gets it, right? So it's like, okay, wait, what about these seniors who've been very successful in their career for a long time, but there's this digital side that they're not really, you know, aware tapping into. I mean, okay, so
but you hit it though. It's like, how do I just bring that personality out?
Exactly. Because I'm just thinking about like, okay, so we all know John Griswold. I'm just thinking about like, he has a theater background, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
He has this background where it's like, okay, there's so many really funny, creative things.
He's been doing some fun stuff too. Like, he's been getting in the, you know, behind the mic, and he's like, he'll do like I don't know, it's like a dark and moody type of vibe in certain videos. And then he's like, then he'll turn on the charm like in another video. And I'm like, yeah, he's got a range. He's got a really cool, I didn't know he had a theater background, but that makes sense.
Yeah. It's finding the people like that who would be open to like, yeah, no, I want to play and I want to lean into who I am, and let's showcase that.
Well, I think the technology piece to this gets really interesting, because with Sora and some of this video editing stuff, and Sora's not perfect, you can still tell, right? I think each of us can probably still tell what's
my
real,
parents can't, but yeah, we can.
But so like, here's where this goes in the very near future. Andrew, you don't want to do it, you don't want to get in front of camera, great. I need you to read this, this, and this. We need to take this video of you. You're never going to have to do it, but it's going to be you.
Yeah.
For the next 3 years, that is going to be gold.
Yes.
Like, that's a money pit for people.
Yeah.
God,
you don't want to do it, you don't have to.
You don't have to. Well, even now, I'm like, I tell the clients where it's like, if they don't want to go on camera, all right, great, let's do voiceover. You can record it afterwards, but like, you can, at least that way somebody has a feeling of who you are, and that personality comes out. Like, that's the whole point.
But they don't have, we can just record one thing.
You're right though.
So I know that.
Are you guys dabbling with Zora?
No, I just don't. Okay. I think that it's a wonderful tool, and I'm seeing videos come out, and I mean, okay, so John Osting is someone who has posted some really fun videos, and I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yeah.
And I still stand so much by it being the real. I mean, maybe it's just some of me being biased to the videos that we've recently done with some of our events that I'm like, yeah, but those are real humans.
I'm leaning in Christina's direction here, because I think that's something that I don't want to lose sight of, is the human element.
Yeah.
That human touch, that authenticity.
What happens when it's literally unseeable?
So there was a
very
headline
close.
that no, it's even
coming.
it's actually even closer. There was a story that came out, I think, a couple weeks. There is a production agency out of the UK that has an AI actress who is now signed.
I saw this.
Who's like an actress who's signed through Hollywood.
And the Actors Guild is it up in arms
Yes.
about it right now? There's a whole thing
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Their stance on it.
Tammy, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But their whole stance on it is like, this is a form of art, and yeah, I can see that argument. But I think to your point, Christina, it's like, and this is where I'm leading. It's like, I think there is a support or a supporting character role for this, but I feel like we're always going to be yearning for that human element or that human feel.
I think, yes, we're going to be yearning for that. Any video online, it's already happening. We're already here where there's things that Christina has sent me, I've watched, and it's like, I literally was talking to someone before we got here, and she's like, oh, yeah, my photo's AI. I'm like, I couldn't tell. She goes, yeah, like my husband can, a couple people can.
Yeah.
We're already here. It doesn't fucking matter if it's human or not.
Yeah.
If I can't tell the difference, there's a difference between in real life versus something getting recorded, clipped, and like if it gets all of the if it's seamless.
Very Black Mirror though.
No, so, and here's the
We're
thing
already
too.
Here, though.
The more that AI gets so perfect, like it's gonna look too perfect in a sense that.
Nope.
You know what? Fine. Then what I'm gonna want as a human being, I'm gonna want certification, like certified something that this is humans. This is
no AI.
literally made by only humans. No AI
that
is
will,
part of it.
That will be a thing that will have a lot of value.
And you know what? Exactly. It's gonna have
Yeah.
a shit ton of value. It's gonna have so much value because people are
Yeah.
gonna be like, oh, people actually made this.
But so now we're talking about regulations. Now we're talking about having things have to go through filters to be. That's an AI so fast. Like look, the way Sora is today, is already so far. That is going to happen 5 years from now.
Let's take the product or the goods, space. I think there's a premium for handcrafted materials.
100%.
Versus the mass-produced items. AI is a mass-produced item.
Yep.
Like, this is where I believe that premium is going to stay. Yeah, I think I would love to lean on the side of the human element. I agree there's going to be a need for pumping out some stuff, but yeah.
That's the difference between somebody wanting to invest in their business and hire somebody like you versus going, I'm going to take the cheaper route. Yeah. I'm going to let AI do the whole thing.
Which more power to you.
And that's fine because that's literally what happens now anyway in all businesses. There's people who are going to, and we do it in different parts of our business. There's things that we are doing the cheapest route possible in whatever part of our business because that's just wherever it lands as far as priority.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be other people who are like, no, my priority is to have a real ass video. I want to hire a knock and I want to look like a fucking rock star. So I think it's just going to depend, but I do think that you're right. There is going to be this premium for the human to human.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that we talk about with our business and the fact that this is all about human connection and people are going to pay good money for that because AI is going to continue to evolve.
Right.
Yeah.
There's this funny video that I saw where it was like one guy walking into a convenience store and the convenience clerk is like standing by the counter like, hey, yes.
Wait, I didn't see this.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
So the guy who walks into the store is greeted by the clerk, and the guy then has to reach down on his phone and quickly chat GPT and was like, okay, he just said hi, what can I help you with?
What do I say?
What do I say? And then he like spits it back out, and then the clerk opens up his phone and is like, oh, he just said this, okay, how do I respond to this? It's like we are now just two chat GPT phones talking to each other. And back to your point, it's like, how do we connect with that intention? How do we go on a human level? Like, I can't fake that.
Well, one of my favorite things about any event that we host, people put their fucking phones away. Like people are so present. Anytime we host something, like people, unless they're taking their phones out to like take a photo or something or take a video, but honestly, when we're hosting things, they're so there, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I don't want the music concert experience where literally everyone is holding up their phone recording the whole damn thing, and I'm like, what is the point of that? Just watch the concert.
Just be in the moment. Enjoy it.
Just enjoy the thing that you're watching with your own two eyes. I don't get it,
but those memories will last forever on the phone, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also the first rule of the stretch. Like whenever we go into the stretch, phones are off the table, phones are away. It's like that way we can be present.
Yeah.
That's
something there.
Yeah, there's that part of it in this world is just, that's missing.
Yeah.
Right? It's so easy for it to, the phone to be out for whatever. And just take a minute.
Yeah.
Just be here.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I think you're absolutely right. It's already here. AI is here.
It's
and AI
already,
is
so
very
my whole
full
point on
ubiquitous.
sorry, I'm losing my contact. My whole point on the Sora thing is like, if I can't tell the difference, so one, it's an opportunity for people that, there are so many people that are like, I don't really feel comfortable. And part of the world that we live in is 20 years ago, nobody saw the first 2 years of bombing.
Right.
There is value in that for sure, and learning and growth. Most people don't even make it anyways.
Right.
So for you is like, if you have clients that are like, I don't want to get in front of camera.
Great. We have a tailored solution for you.
It's like, great, we can do this. I just need you to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just as good, if not better. And it's going to be like, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like, yes to everything both of you have said about the human part and the value of that. But if I can get the same result without doing it.
You're absolutely right. And this is kind of where it's like, the whole point of that then is, how do we just be present? How do I help that person show up in their business so that their audience sees them more often? However that comes out. The whole point is like, if you're going from 0 to 100, well, great. Now we've just made you visible.
Right. So it's an extended visibility, and then it becomes more about like, how do I connect with the person? Like, the tricky part will be when people do it in a way that's not actually aligned with who they are.
Yeah.
But it's more of this performance. It's more of this, like, I think
Which
this is what people
comes out so like cringy online too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's different than, it's just like, well, this is what I would do and what I would say. We filmed it. I don't like it. Can we throw it in this filter, which is all Instagram is.
Yeah.
Right. And then it turns out better, more polished in a certain way, but it's going to be undistinguishable at some point, very, very soon.
Yeah. No,
Christina's
I know.
You're right. It's scary. I mean,
it's
it is
terrifying.
Yeah. But
And I'm not, I would prefer the opposite, but like, if I can think about the time,
it's a reality.
there's, this is where we're going. It's a race. I don't know how much content gets produced every freaking minute.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh, there's so much slop out there. And it's funny because like I had this exact conversation with my brother this morning, because he's got now 3 kids, and they're, between the ages of 4, 2, and a newborn who's like 2 months old. He was shown a couple of AI videos from like his family members, and he's like, I don't know if I could tell the difference. I was like, that's scary.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Just
We're-
imagine your kids when they are now going to school and sharing stuff around. Like, where is the technology going to be at that point? And will we be able to? It's like Ready Player One. It is like, it is so crazy scary.
The next 3 to 5 years are gonna 3 to 10. The next 10 years are gonna be
It'll
crazy,
be
but 3 to
interesting.
3 to
It'll be
5 is
interesting.
gonna be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we wrap up, I don't know if Paula will listen to this, but I just want to shout out that she is a freaking G.
I will make her listen to this.
She is so cool. I think I love bombed her a little bit at the Paco
You can never
concert.
go too far with her. I
Well,
promise you. She.
I was just like,
appreciates it.
I was like, you're the coolest. So I just,
Oh yeah, we had our car ride home conversation about that too.
we talked about it.
Yeah,
Do you
okay.
remember it though? That's
Barely.
the question.
Barely. No. I heard about it the next day.
No, it was so fun, and I just want to thank both of you
Yeah.
because I mean, not only obviously like being part of this community, but just you guys are friends and like really good friends that we've been able to build our just like San Diego life. That's just part of moving to a new city. It's like, who am I going to be friends with? Who am I going to spend time with? And we've always absolutely loved being able to like game nights and everything that we've been able to do with you guys. And
It was nicer when you guys were closer.
Trust
That's
me.
true.
I
You
know.
guys we were
I
we were
miss those
neighbors, and
days.
now Spring Valley is it's
No,
not far.
It's not far, but it is a distance enough for I know. But we love you guys, and I'm always a huge fan and supporting. And you guys make it so easy to love you guys. So thank you for being awesome friends.
No, likewise. Yeah, it's been so great just these past few years and being able to just continue deepening our relationship farther than like the business, right? Like that's always really great.
Yeah.
And we need another
Appreciate
game night soon.
We do. It'll be put on the books. We will schedule that.
Yeah, because
Promise.
Do you have new games? I feel like you always have.
I know
new
every
games.
time we come over to your house, we're
get
always
it.
introduced to new games. I'm like, ooh.
It's been a minute since we've gotten a new game. But
Okay.
we were actually introduced to a new game recently by our neighbors, so we'll have to bring it out.
Okay.
Wait, have we still not played Euchre?
I don't think we have.
Okay, so we can introduce a new game to you
okay.
two.
All right.
As long as it's not after drinking and it's midnight, yes.
It sounds like that's exactly what we need to be
just
playing.
We just start with that game, and then Eric will agree to playing it. If drinks,
It's not an easy game to learn or teach.
no, but they're very smart games.
One of us
doesn't
is
matter.
one of us is very smart.
Intelligence has nothing to do with it.
Okay, I'm on Paula's team.
She will help. Oh, Eric and I will wipe you guys across the board with this then.
As long as it's not after midnight.
No, we won't be after.
We're
midnight.
down. We're so down.
Okay, awesome. Reinforcement. What's the takeaway from this conversation? Like, what's the vibe? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling like I really need to study what AI looks like versus what a human video looks like.
It won't matter. Part of me is like, I wish we would have had this conversation 4 years ago. Because there were parts of what you shared of, I want to help you more with what you're doing and your journey. And I don't think I knew the whole partnering with friends, and COVID kind of just made me go in a different direction. And then this real estate thing, and how much that's been a new learning piece for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just appreciate the conversation. I'm grateful, obviously, to have you be involved in what we're doing, and want to see you win more after this. Is what I'm sitting with.
I appreciate that.
Well, that shifted what I was going to say, because that honestly, okay, so one, this is why we wanted to do this podcast. It's crazy that you're saying, you're like, I wish we would have had this conversation 4 years ago. And we're literally coming off of game night and friends and fun. And so we feel like we know you guys so well. We know you so well. And yet here we are. And you're like, oh shit, there's so much that I didn't know. And so I think that's so much of what we have wanted to be able to do at 6 Degrees is create environments for people to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Because with this knowledge and with this history and actually asking about someone's story and getting to know somebody on that level does make me go like, oh shit, I want to help you.
Now I can show up differently in the next time we meet, or the next time we
and it sparks different ideas and different ways of like, oh my god, you should connect with this person. So yeah, that's a really, really insightful thing that you just shared. Just to it doesn't matter how long someone's been in my life. There's so much deeper that we can continue to go.
Well, yeah, there's so much that each of us don't know, right? So even we've known you for 4 or 5 years or whatever it's been, but I only know that window of...
You know what I put on the Instagram? No,
no, not
a
even,
little bit more than that.
Not even that, but like everything, and I've done parts and fragments of like, okay, Seattle, but like some of the, you just filled in some gaps that I didn't fully know.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to ask. And, and vice versa. I mean, it's been fun because whenever you guys are throwing an event, usually a family member is out at the party. Like I've gotten to meet your mom a couple of times.
My mom doesn't miss an event.
No, and I love her, and I love the cake that she makes for your birthday, which is amazing. And then your dad coming into town.
My mom was actually here last year.
I missed your mom.
You missed her. My sister might come this year. I'm trying to get her.
But those are the moments where I get to then play interview host, because then I get to like podcast them unbeknownst.
Well, I think something that I've realized and kind of discovered, I think part of what really works for us is that we're in this business together. If I only know you and I don't know Paula, I only know part of you, right? So, but I think the fact that when people are meeting us, they're meeting both of us.
Yeah. For
this business, it's actually, I think it builds a lot of empathy fast.
100%.
Or connection fast.
100%.
Maybe not necessarily empathy, but because you're seeing both sides, like this is us.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, this is that peel behind the curtain that I think a lot of folks like to see from a business owner's perspective of like, oh, everything that you guys are doing publicly, it's also your behind the scenes is also being shared publicly. Yeah. So there is no, what are they doing and how are they impacting the network, or how are they, like we all know, because you guys are very open about it and you've let us in, and that's not heard of. Like nobody.
And I want to do that more. I have some ideas. I have some ideas to do it more.
We get a peek under the kimono in a way. Like it's like, but
just
in
take
a good,
the kimono off. No kimono. We're going no kimono in 2026.
but that is just like a testament and true to who you guys are, and it's like that's why this is working. This is why, as a member, I love the evolution of this, because I can't say I knew what it was like before you guys took over. I've only known what you guys have done since you've taken over, and it's been fun and refreshing because this isn't typical to see behind the scenes so openly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Still feels like we're just getting started.
I know. It always feels like I'm like, oh, we're just getting started, baby. Just
Holiday party. Don't miss it.
We'll be there. Did the pre-sale tickets go?
End of the month.
End of the month.
I don't know when this will come out. But
I honestly think this episode will be out after the holiday party has happened. So
Okay.
we all had a blast.
It was so much fun. Can you believe what Eric did? Holy crap.
That was crazy. Whoa.
He really brought the kimono.
He took it all off.
Is that what I'm wearing? Is that what I need to wear? I wore a kimono once. It was actually really comfortable.
I can imagine. There's a lot of free flow and everything.
I stole in Vegas. I stole a kimono from someone and wore it around the pool.
That's a boss move. That's exactly what you're supposed to do in Vegas.
That's a good trip.
Oh, that's funny. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man.
This was so fun. So this is super relevant to what just happened this past week with the event. In this episode with Andrew, you literally you say the phrase, if we're going to suck, I want to suck at a really high level. And we just experienced what that can be. And it has everything to do with this podcast too, which is kind of hilarious.
I don't even know that I would consider. I guess what are you talking about?
Well, just so for the listener, we spent a lot of time on these takeaways, these CDs, right? From the design to I literally my fingers were bleeding taking these cases apart and putting them back together, and then my mom, myself writing on them to make it feel like the burned CD nostalgic piece, getting whatever needs to be printed for it, putting it all back together, whatever, right? And the whole point for the takeaway was that, so yes, like the majority of the people who are going to take that home do not have a CD player. Let's make sure that there is an easy way to access this specific episode that we also had a lot of time put into it for taking 2-minute clips, right? All this work that went into it, and we were like, okay, let's make a playlist so that that's the very first track on the playlist, and that's what the QR code goes to play. And then if someone wants to listen to any of the other episodes, they're on the playlist already. So that was the whole idea. And everything was executed to a T, except for adding the episode of the best of 2025 to the playlist. So for anyone who's scanned it before, yesterday? For anyone who's scanned it, or I guess you put it up, you put it on the playlist on like maybe Sunday. Either way.
Days went by.
Where that episode was not on the playlist that we specifically put the QR code to. So I feel like that's such a good example of, is like, if we're gonna suck at a really high level. Everything was done. If they wanted to listen to it, it was still available. It's not like they wasn't available. It just wasn't in the place that's going to be the easiest to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the way that it ended up being wasn't the worst thing in the world, right? Like the QR code still took them to somewhere. It still took them to like a list of all the episodes.
Yeah.
They still had a CD version that they could have played.
Yeah.
And we talked about how many people like, oh, they got it and this is really nice, but I don't have a CD player.
And don't even open it.
And maybe didn't even open it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just more of a, for me, I guess it is a good example of sucking at a really high level, because I released that episode earlier and then it was a couple days before the event, and then as soon as it was released, all I needed to do was click a button and then add it to the playlist. And for 2 or 3 days to go by and be like, oh shit,
It's not there.
it's not, I never did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more fun to kind of laugh at and learning for the future, but yeah, frustrating of to do like 95% of something really well,
Exactly. Right.
and miss like the last part.
Because that's the thing, is like everything was done so well, like the details of everything. Even I loved how you took details of putting like the explicit whatever little logo on it that goes on things that might have foul language, right? And then on the back putting like I never even imagined putting produced, executive producer Christina and producer, and then Valentina as the like mixologist or whatever. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like that's such a cool detail, right? We're both very detail oriented and we think about those little things. And so yeah, to go through the whole thing was done so well. Oh man. It's just funny. It's so funny. We have to laugh at those moments.
Yeah, and there's a handful of other small moments of like, oh yeah, that could have been better. And
Sure.
so I think there's a difference between like kind of obsessing on like certain details and then like when that happens overlooking other more obvious, easier, low-hanging fruit details of just like, well, that's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime the low-hanging fruit gets missed, that's probably the most frustrating. Something like what we're describing of not putting it on the playlist. It's like, sure, that's it, it's a miss. And like I said, they could have found the episode if they just go to the Sixcess Stories, wherever they typically would listen to it, whatever. It's there, it's published, it's live. Yeah. There's plays to do it. But certainly anytime that we've missed something that is more of like oh my God. And I think something that's a huge difference, the last 2 years hosting it at Mic Drop, we were able to get into the venue the night before. There was a lot of work that we did the day and night before. We set up the entire room that day, right? And there was a lot of logistics. There were a lot of things happening, and so I think that's a really big thing to understand going forward for anything that big. If we cannot get into the venue the day before, and we had things pretty dialed in and there was so much room for improvement as far as knowing exactly who needs to be where in what spot for this thing and these there was just a lot of things happening. So that was a really big difference that I felt.
Yeah, I mean part of the challenge was we were waiting on, there was a part where we were good like 2 or 3 hours before. There were like, we weren't able to do things until vendors showed up or till someone got there. Like we were kind of in a holding pattern. And then there was like another wave of like everyone arrived at once. And then all of a sudden we went from there's nothing to do and then there's 10 things to do.
Right. It all came at the same time.
And yeah, there was just certain things that was like, well, that's as good as it's going to be.
Right.
Because we don't have time. So
yeah, that was
lessons for
so much to learn
for next time.
I just thought it was so funny listening to this episode with Andrew, and for that phrase that you've used in multiple situations of if we're gonna suck at a really high level. And so just listening back to that coming off of the event and these little things and details, and so I was like, oh, that's really relevant. I'm experiencing that.
Yeah. And I mean, with all of that being said, it still was a great event.
100%.
Still very, very proud to sign my name on it, your name on it. And
absolutely.
Some of the stuff that we're talking about, I don't even know that people would.
No, and that's the thing
think twice about it.
No, right? they would not. There's probably people who are going to listen and be like, what are you talking about? This was amazing. There were no mistakes. And like you and I mean, just coming from events and hospitality and the whole production piece, and it's part of what I think every year and with every event, it moves us forward because we're going to keep learning and we're going to dissect every single little thing and we're going to try and pick at it to be like, okay. I mean, it's actually it's quite hilarious that, so last year we figured out, so we did the first event at Mic Drop. which was our second holiday party, but the first one that we did at My Trap. Okay. And then we did the same thing where we sit down and we dissect all of the moving parts. So what did we do? We adjusted and we made the next year 10 times better. And it was the moments of walking away from that feeling insanely accomplished. We felt like there were the smallest things. I mean, at least day of, there were some things in retrospect of like, well, shit, some of these things could have been better. But regardless, like the feeling of, no, we just fucking did that. That was insane, right? And there was because there was so much growth from year one in this space and so much learning from year one in this space that we were able to apply to the following year. So going to AleSmith, that was the first time that we've ever done an event there, ever. And so there was a lot of learning to be had to move forward with.
Sure. Well, that's actually probably the most important thing is if we're going to move and go to a new space, like how do we have it feel like year two, not year one? What needs to happen? What are the things that we need to work out beforehand?
Yeah.
So that it's not, oh, like, well, this year it's new and there's, not that it's an excuse, but there's built in, it's like, oh, this is new. So there's a little bit more grace. It's like, no, like, let's figure out what needs to happen for us to make it feel like year two.
Yeah. Or year 5, right? Just keep adding to it and keep adding the learning. So that's a huge piece of it is understanding what you just said of when we move to different locations, it's like, okay, well, we've learned from years past that when that happens, we need to go through XYZ well before the event takes place to learn from it and do better.
I think that part of this year was like, okay, yeah, we need to, it's not as simple as walking through and getting, the AV, for example, is like, oh, no, yeah, like this is just an HDMI cord. You just plug it in. And like when we did that in my head, I was like, okay, that's really easy. Versus like actually plugging it in.
Right.
Right. Because there's just certain things that, like actually doing it uncovers. So, yeah, I mean, again, couldn't have gone much better overall for hopefully anyone that experienced it enjoyed it and had a great time and could just feel what we put into it. And one of our values is we level up every single day. So we're gonna be critical and find a way to make it better. And a week, not even a week out, I have no idea how we're gonna do that, but you do.
Yeah, of course.
I know you do. So.
I'm already, ideas are percolating. They're all coming out. On this episode, it was just because of the timing of it. We recorded with Andrew at a time where early bird tickets were still on sale. So there's like a comment on that. So I am just going to plug that's actually still true. Early bird tickets are available. They're just available for 2026.
Super early bird.
Yeah. So we're going to do a super early bird through the end of this year. And so for anyone who's like, hell yeah, that was amazing, I definitely want to make sure I'm there in 2026. And then, we'll have kind of a tier of tickets available throughout. So still true what Andrew and us said about early bird tickets on sale. They are on sale.
We are 1,000% going to sell out next year. So buy your tickets if you want to come play next year. It will be better. Talking
to Andrew and hearing the part of when he worked at Abercrombie, it was just him talking about how it kind of felt icky. Have you ever had an icky job? Have you ever felt like, oh, this is kind of icky?
An icky job.
Or like things were happening that it was like, that's not legal.
That's not an icky job and that's not legal are two different things.
Well, maybe. Well, I don't know. I mean, like HR related, right? Like there's a lot of things that happen that's like, ooh, that's icky.
I would say no. I haven't had a few and far between situations where like someone in leadership does something that was socially accepted by the culture of the company and that didn't get reprimanded, called out, or anything like that. I mean, most of my experience was like working in smaller companies, right?
Yeah, I mean, and because I know the places that you've worked. Yeah, I wouldn't really see much from a leadership standpoint. I mean,
Probably the closest thing, like, I mean, yeah, like restaurant, hospitality industry, I think it kind of like the HR becomes like a joke.
yeah, it absolutely becomes a joke.
Of like, ooh, like HR, careful, like HR.
And yeah, people just, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty common.
Well, I mean, that industry is just so incestuous. Everyone is sleeping together, dating each other. They're all, I mean, it's a lot. but to me, that's different from like it coming specifically from leadership, which, well, I did experience that personally from a couple of the bars that I worked at, actually,
Sure.
which was just really gross. It's a lot of people, and it's around alcohol. It's around drugs. It's around the things that sometimes make humans not always make the greatest
questionable decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Short answer is like overall, no. I haven't been around many things, and at this point, like it's pretty clear of what is okay, isn't okay, and I would if I was around it. Even I mean, if we had something happen that felt off, right? Whatever that means, like we're part of it is like we're gonna call it out and be like, hey, that's not how we operate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
we've talked about, the example of like if someone, this has never happened, but if someone like came to one of our events, and again, not that there's anything necessarily wrong with business cards, right? Exchanging business cards is part of a way to keep in touch. But if someone we've all experienced like the blackjack dealer version of this, where it's like someone walks into a group of people and just hands out their card, doesn't say anything, walks away. And if we had, when we used to do happy hours, we talked about like, that's not what this is for. It's about deepening relationships, making connections, and getting to know people.
right.
And if someone did that, like, how would we react? And so we haven't, to talk about it is one thing. And we haven't actually had that come up, but I feel pretty confident in like whether it was in the moment or after the fact of like how we would handle, again, a very innocent version of what we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, that is that's just that is an example of something that doesn't align with the culture that we've created within our community. And so I think, yeah, maybe innocent is a good word to describe it as far as like what we're talking about. It's not on the icky side of things where there was a violation of some sort, but I think because we have talked in depth about how to handle those types of situations, even when it's a pretty innocent behavior, part of the training, the leadership training that you and I have consistently been going through, like with Rudy's work and others, it's how do we address the behavior, not the person, and how do we use the values as the tool?
Yeah, well, the values as the guide rail. So part of it is, I think that we were talking in hypotheticals a little bit, so just being aware of that. Part of the way to, I think the headline of this for anyone that's listening to it is, if I let the behavior go, if I just let it happen, which is very common because it's the easy thing to do, the behavior becomes the culture.
Right.
And then it's accepted. So it's a slippery slope of like, oh, Christina, she got drunk one time and like said this thing and it was kind of sideways and it was off the cuff, and then all of a sudden nobody says anything and we just let Christina do her thing, and then life goes on and it happens again. Right? So I think the important part of it is that's a moose. We need to address the moose. We need to work through the moose, because if we don't, it becomes the culture. Because culture is either explicit or implicit, but it's happening either way.
And the flip side of that is even the positives. What are the behaviors that I want to reinforce? So this one I can use an example, because I acknowledge that you said like we're speaking in hypotheticals and try to avoid that as much as we can. So one of the very first events where we had Valentina come in and help us was a leadership lab back in June. And there was a miss from me of reinforcing a behavior that I saw that was amazing. I was like, yes, that is exactly what I want you to be doing right now, which was, I mean, she literally went up to every single person who came to the event and introduced herself and said hi and was very warm and welcoming, and even taking moments away from like the little things that we were setting up or working on to do that, right? My miss was not addressing it right when I saw the behavior happen, because I did have the moment of realization in that second. I was like, oh my God, look at her. This is fucking awesome. This is exactly what I would have wanted from somebody who's working with us. I still ended up telling her that. It just was, I think, I think it was at the end of the event, or maybe a lunch break or something, right? It was several hours after the moment happened. So I can sharpen that, and I can get better at addressing the things that I'm seeing in the moment. But that is another example of a way to reinforce behaviors that I do want to see, right? And it goes the same way with behaviors that I don't want to see, but that's going to reinforce that culture.
Yeah, no, that's a really great example of a specific instance where it showed up and it was like, yeah, if I want to see more of something, I need to celebrate it. I need to recognize it. It doesn't necessarily need to be rewarded in the sense that like I need to give you like a monetary reward or a gift or anything. Like just verbally acknowledging it can go a long way.
100%.
In the moment, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's something that I think we've talked about a little bit that we can do a better job of, right? Even so, part of the awards that we had last week was tied into what we're talking about. It was so last week, for anyone that wasn't there, we recognized 5 different members of 6 Degrees that embodied our values. So each of the 5 people embodied one of our values in an outstanding way, in a way that was above and beyond what we kind of would expect the quote unquote the norm to be. And they were nominated by their peers of 6 Degrees, and both kind of, we had a little bit of insight into that as well. It's a way for us to recognize and celebrate the type of behavior that we want to see more of, right? So each of those awards was tied to a specific value, and part of the whole reason for that is to build this community of people that what we're doing from a value standpoint resonates, and to have our values be alive and breathing. So it's more than just here's a trophy for doing a good job, right? Like and part of the reason that we commission art and personalize the art to that person is like, it means that we want it to mean a lot.
Right.
Hopefully they like the art, and hopefully they hang in, and hopefully there's a longer impact for receiving that and to be recognized in that way. But it's the same thing that we're talking about.
It's probably one of my favorite things that we do in the whole year of 6 Degrees, is even just so specific to the art, and for that to be so personalized and yeah, because like you just said, I want it to mean something. Not that a trophy doesn't mean something to somebody. Obviously, recognition can mean so much to people in any capacity, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I really, really enjoy developing the ideas and the art and the creativity behind things that are going to resonate with that person. And I mean, you and I are, I feel like, always really trying to show how much we care, and that's part of it. It's listening to the things that people share with us, and how can we show that back to like, yeah, no, this is for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to that specific thing. I would agree. It's one of, I had that idea. I think I was brainstorming it with someone else for a different organization, actually, of a way to kind of celebrate some of the people that they wanted to honor or recognize. And yeah, I love that it's kind of become, or not kind of, but that it's become a tradition. And, we've done it every year. We've done it different every year. And it's a way for us to support local artists.
Yeah.
And have them be involved in a way, and personalize it, and have them put like their creativity on it, and just trusting that. So yeah, it's a really cool program at this point.
Yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, it feels really special.
Well, yeah. That's all I think wanted for some little moments. If we're gonna suck, we're gonna suck at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I wouldn't say that we sucked.
No, it's
at
not.
A high level. Like, there was a moment where there was room for improvement, and there was a miss that.
Yeah, I know, but it's something that you say often, and
it's my favorite Rudyism.
Because it is so good, right? It's like, if this is gonna flop, which it didn't, and I'm not saying that. It's just it's the little miss, like the flop of a little tiny piece of the overall project. And I think it's just a really funny, like, oh yeah, that's what that looks like. I got 90%, and then there was just this moment of a whatever.
So frustrating. Whatever that day was, Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was, I literally just like, I don't think I ever did that.
Well, the funny thing,
pulled up my computer and like, I was like, yeah, that got missed.
But you also, because you were hoping that it was gonna get a lot more listens because it's different from kind of the other things that we've done. And so you were tracking the listens. You're like, yeah, no, there's not even like a spike in this at all. I like what, and it's like, yeah, because people didn't have easy access to listen to it.
Set myself up for success really well there.
Oh, it's just learning with Bub.
It's not falling. What is it? What's the Buzz Lightyear thing? It's not flying. He's falling with style.
Exactly.
To infinity and beyond, Bub.
Put her there, Bub.
Put her there.